Hurricane Ian was devastating for many Southwest Florida residents. Fort Myers Beach, surrounding areas were plummeted with water, rain, winds, something we've never seen here in Southwest Florida. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do after a hurricane, who to call, what to look out for, things to do and don't do. It's vital to take some of these steps in order to protect yourself against further damage, against contractors with ill intentions, and to make sure to get your property back to pre-loss condition. My name is Marc Devisse. Welcome back to the Tri-Town Construction channel, where we are rebuilding Southwest Florida one home at a time. All right, after a hurricane, there is a lot of confusion, panic, uncertainty. Some of the first and most vital things to do after a hurricane is to videotape, to document everything. Take 100 pictures of every room. More pictures, the better. Put those in a cloud system somewhere, Google Drive, somewhere they're safe in case your cell phone gets wet or damaged. Maybe if you want to write things down that you see, even better. You know, just you think at that time you'll remember, you'll see, you'll know, but you'll need those pictures, especially if insurance is involved. Further damage is important. Insurance companies are going to ask, what did you do to protect your home after the hurricane? Did you immediately safeguard your home from further damage? There is usually a clause in your insurance policy that you are required to protect your home from further damage. After that is the cleanup. You want to get everything that was wet out of there. You want to get drying equipment in there. You want to prevent mold from growing. So what do you have to do? You have to make sure that everything dries. There's obviously companies, emergency dryout companies that do that. Be very careful in these situations who you're hiring. Hurricanes and natural disasters bring out the worst in some people. So it's vital to do your research. What to do after hurricane with insurance and possible financing. Some insurance companies are there for you right away. Some make it a battle. Most important thing is to document everything that you've lost before throwing anything away, before touching anything during the process of the cleanup. You know, the more pictures you can have, the better. Put it in a cloud-based system and save it for later. It doesn't cost anything. Tagging pictures with names, rooms, the front of the house, every elevation. You know, if you can safely get on the roof, or if you have somebody who can get on the roof for you to document and take pictures, is very important. Getting the home to a condition where there will be no further damage, right? Then we can sit and breathe. We can wait and see what the next step is. But right away, to get the home to where it will no longer create more damage is important. Natural disasters sometimes bring out the worst in people and worst in contractors. Hiring the right contractor is really important. Something to look out for is high pressure. Hey, you need to sign right now. I need a deposit right now, or your house is going to fall apart. You know, these high pressure tactics are a dead giveaway that something could be off. Is the contractor local, or did they just see the news that there's a big storm and hopped in their van and headed that way? Make sure, do they have an office in Southwest Florida or in your area? You know, having an office is pretty easy to do. Anyone can go find a realtor and lease an office very quickly. So having an office here and being from here are two different things. Make sure you're asking the right questions. How long have you had an office here? How long have you been local here? So it's still important to do your research. The Better Business Bureau, there is licensing regulation with the DBPR in Florida. You can look up contractors' licenses, roofing licenses, any type of license required. You can look on Google, Facebook, ask for referrals. Have a clear contract, right? Don't just, hey, time and material, hey, we're $100 an hour, we don't know how long it's going to take. Don't fall for that. Make sure you have a price Make sure you have a reputable company. So just make sure you're doing your homework, your due diligence, and checking online resources as much as you can. Now you're going to start thinking of the rebuild. So we're assuming that the insurance company has done the right thing and paid out what they feel is, or what everyone feels is the right amount to get the home back to pre-loss condition. From there, especially if it was a large loss, you're probably not going to go back to exactly the way it was. I mean, you're at least going to have new flooring and finishes, and possibly take advantage of maybe moving the kitchen or making the bathroom larger, or maybe some of the projects that you've been putting off. Now is a good time to use that insurance money to maybe upgrade, to change out. So you're going to really want to find a professional remodeling contractor, not just someone who puts things back together the way they are. So how do you find that? Google is a great resource. Neighbors, friends, other people who have used the remodeling contractor, they're all good resources to find somebody that could fit and do that job properly. Remodeling is intimate. This is your home. You may have lived there a long time. You care about what's going on inside. It's important to have people that you work with, that are going to be working with you, that understand that, and that they're not going to come and tear things up or mistreat your home. So remodeling has a lot of emotion in it. Some people have been in their home 20 years and they love that kitchen, and now we're changing everything. So you got to really be cautious of who you're hiring. Make sure that they have a great design team. They can help you with ideas. They have maybe a design studio somewhere easy to go and take and make selections. So hiring the right contractor, you're going to be working with this contractor possibly 4, 6, 8 months, depending on the size of the job. That is a long time to work with somebody that you might not like. So make sure that you're doing your due diligence. You are compatible with not only the person you're going to be working with, but the rest of the team. And it's going to be an enjoyable process. Many times remodeling does not require structural assessment, but there are times where after a hurricane, maybe the house has shifted, or there is a beam or a wall that, hey, all the drywall's off now. I've been wanting to take this wall out forever. There's interior walls, which can be easily moved. They have no real wall weight or bearing. And then there's structural walls, which oftentimes are more difficult to change. It's not impossible, can be done. It just requires engineering and a little bit more planning. Now, after a hurricane, especially if they're the one we've had here recently, it's important to get a structural engineer or an assessment of the structure to make sure that the home has not shifted, or any of the structural members have not cracked or deteriorated with either the rain or the rot, or maybe it's been happening and with the force of winds and movement, it made it worse. So that's really vital before the rebuild. Now, here in Southwest Florida, we have what's called the FEMA rule. The FEMA 50% rule says that you cannot invest more than 50% of the building value back into the home without updating the home to current codes. So a lot of people mistake that between market value and building value. No, there is a spot on the assessor's website that says building value, which is the building itself. You could have the same building on a beachfront property or way inland, and it's going to have the same value for the building. We all know that a beachfront home and an inland home are going to have different market value. This is based on the building value. So that surprises a lot of people, because they could have a beachfront home worth millions of dollars, but the structure that was on it is only valued at $200,000, which gives them $100,000 to spend without either having to tear it down or bring it up to today's code. So make sure we're looking at the right value. Now, what we've had happen here in Southwest Florida after Hurricane Ian is many people didn't follow the FEMA 50% rule. And we just had another hurricane come through that flooded the very same area, And many of those homes now have damage again. So there is a rhyme and reason for the 50% rule. If you're going to put in that kind of money, insurance is going to be much higher if you don't follow the rule. The potential risk of damage will be much higher. Many of the new homes, the code is it must be elevated. So on Fort Myers Beach in a lot of Southwest Florida, it's 9 to 19 feet elevated. So if your home is on the ground level in some of these flood areas, it's going to be very challenging to get insurance. Once you're rebuilding, the design is important. You know, we are Southwest Florida. We're going to have hurricanes. It's important to pick some resilient material that's going to last, that can get wet. You know, if we're raising the home or if we're remodeling the home, we can expect that, hey, it's probably going to happen again. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be, could not be soon, but it's, 5-10 years, it could happen. So we want to make sure that what we build with is resilient to the hurricanes, resilient to flooding, especially if you're in a flooding area. And there's more and more material that fits those needs, so make sure that you are asking those questions, that you are planning for the future, and you're making sure that you're building or remodeling a home that will withstand the weather that we have here in Southwest Florida or anywhere in the country. Some of the easy upgrades and some of the things that we strongly recommend, the roof, roofing is a huge expense for insurance companies. We have replaced probably 500 roofs since the Hurricane Ian 2 years ago. Only a few of those have been metal roofs. Metal is a far superior product when it comes to roofing. So there's different kinds, standing seam. There's even roofs that will match a tile look. So a lot of associations, HOAs, are now accepting this metal because they know that when a hurricane comes, they have a lot less to worry about. A next great upgrade is hurricane rated windows and doors. Those are standard on most new construction homes, but when you're remodeling, a lot of times you have the old windows, possibly shutters, maybe plywood pieces to put up in case of a storm. But hurricane rated windows and doors, you no longer need to put those shutters. If you have old windows that you like or you don't want to change, adding hurricane shutters, electric hurricane shutters, is a great alternative. But with those two alone, that really helps with prevent a lot of damage during strong winds. Speaking of remodeling, I've put together a comprehensive ebook that goes deeper into more details about renovating your home, including design options, sustainable features, what to look for when hiring a contractor, budgeting guidelines, and more. So click the link in the description below. Restoring interior spaces. So when there's a hurricane, one of the most vital things to get done quickly is to dry out the home. So if there was flood waters and it rose up, cutting out that 2 feet or whatever feet of drywall out, getting that open, getting air blowers and dehumidifiers inside. This will prevent mold growth. Mold needs humidity, dampness to grow. If it doesn't have that, it cannot grow. Dealing with water is not fun, but it's manageable. When you're dealing with mold, it becomes a much bigger issue. You're throwing out a lot of personal goods, you're testing, and many policies have a limit on mold growth. So make sure that you're drying your home out quickly. After it's been dried out, after the cause of the leak, if it's a roof leak, has been repaired, the home can sit and be safe. During storms, it takes a lot of emotional resilience. There's a lot of community support. We saw that in Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Debbie. There are a lot of volunteers that come out. You can really see the community shine. So if you lost anything, if you lost a lot, lean on those resources, lean on those volunteers, find the groups that are helping. If you haven't lost a lot, join a group that's helping. Find a way to help. We're a community rebuilding together. If you're coming to Southwest Florida, if you're here in Southwest Florida, we are a very strong community. We're working together to rebuild Southwest Florida. I gave you a great overview of what it's like to rebuild after a hurricane. And that's why I filmed an entire series that goes deeper into each one of these topics. Click the video that is on the screen right now and start your journey.